Welcome to Unfiltered. Can you believe the last week of January? Flying by already. And still, last week we had a couple of really nice days. And you know, I could take Januaries like that. I'll take February like that. March, I'm afraid. I know I'm looking out a little far right now, but I have a feeling that this March, in like a lamb, out like a snowy lion. Just saying. So we'll go back in March, and I'll play this clip again in March, and we'll see if my prediction comes true that we get hammered with 2 or 3 feet of snow at the end of March, right when we're all thinking, yes, we finally made it. And then we'll get dumped on. God, what's been going on this week? Everything's been going on this week. Trump pulled out of the debate, the last Republican debate before Iowa. He pulled out. There was, all the talk about he pulled out because he was afraid Megyn Kelly was going to be mean to him. He said he pulled out because, he's going to raise money for the wounded warriors, which is great. I mean, as a vet myself, there are altogether too many people that come back from these horrific things that they witness in war, and they need help, and somebody needs to help them. The government sure as hell isn't stepping up to help them because the government's spending so much money blowing people up instead of taking care of the people that you sent to blow people up. Again, stupidity. So Trump pulled out, and of course, when I first heard that, I was like, yeah. And then, like an hour later, or a couple hours later, I saw somebody had shared a Facebook post that was talking about Wounded Warrior Project. And the fact that, not 100% of every dollar goes to help wounded warriors. And in case any of you don't know, the way that nonprofits work and organizations like that, they spearhead fundraising, they handle funds, they pass out funds. They have employees that they have to pay. And my coworker at Jesuit TV, Dave, he always says, just because we work for nonprofits doesn't mean we have to work for cheap. We all feel like that. Everybody feels like that. Nobody wants to work for less than what they feel like they're worth. And if everybody's self-esteem is way up here, we're all worth $1 million an hour. And why shouldn't we all make $1 million an hour? Anyway, it's it's tough to hear when people start putting down organizations like that, because yes, organizations like that, they have operating expenses just like everybody else. And I don't know what type of overhead Wounded Warrior has, whether they've got a warehouse where they keep all these cool wheelchairs and stuff that they give to the soldiers, but if they do, I mean, there's an expense right there. You've got to keep a warehouse, which means chances are you've got to have security in the warehouse. You've got to have people in the warehouse. You've got to have, trucks to deliver stuff. All that stuff costs money. Where do you think that money comes from? It comes out of part of the donations that you give. It's the same way with everything. The United Way. The United Way raises millions every year, and not every single one of those $1 million actually goes in to help some people. Some of that money goes to the expense of running the organization. All of the ads that you see for the United Way, the ad campaigns, they all cost money. Again, I hate to say it, and you people are probably tired of hearing it. It all comes down to the money. We all want more money. As a matter of fact, I heard that New Hampshire is talking about jumping minimum wage from whatever it is, $7.50 an hour now, to $12 an hour. And I think that's a bad move. I know some of you people are screaming at your TVs. But here's the way I look at it. Maybe my education was wrong. Or maybe I just was dyslexic when I was listening to my teachers back in high school. Or maybe it's the fact that, everything changed in college and I didn't learn enough, apparently. Anyway, the point is, you raise the minimum wage. Good. Everybody's making more money. Well, the bottom people are making now more money. So they've got more money to spend. That's more money that is going to be going in to buy products. And you know what happens? Of course, I'm going to throw out the supply and demand thing, right? Because the more products that people want, the more they cost. So at some point, these people that are saying, we need $12 an hour for minimum wage, at some point, they're still not going to be able to afford everything they want, and they're going to say, wait a minute, $12 is not a fair minimum wage. We need to make minimum wage $15. And then what is it? All the prices go up. We need minimum wage at $20. You can't just keep hiking stuff up. Minimum wage goes up, prices go up. Minimum wage goes up, prices go up. And when it comes right down to it, once the rich people are poor like the poor people, and there's no demand for any products, because people don't have the money to, people don't have $100 to buy something, guess what? That $100 item is going to drop down to $50 because maybe people have $50. It's economics. The more people that want something, the higher they jack up the price. So then you need more money. Again, it's the system that these rich fat cats have put into place in our country, in our government, through, their campaign donations of millions of dollars a year that come out of their billions of dollars a year in profit. If you ask me, when it comes to these quarterly reports, any corporation that reports in a quarterly report that they made $40 billion in profit should have a bomb dropped on their headquarters. What the hell are you doing with $40 billion in profit? You're damn sure not helping out the little people. It's just crazy. And the craziness, it's all wrapped up together. People say, what's the most important thing in the United States that we need to focus on? Well, there's not just one thing, because it's all wrapped together. Everything affects everything else. And I started thinking today, actually I was out before the show, I was out on the Cheshire TV weather deck having a smoke, and I realized another reason why I like Trump. And it's because people are angry that he's still around. And not just the Democrats aren't worried that he's still around. The Republicans are worried that he's still around. And that he's still in this race and that he's doing so well. Now, back in the first I believe it was the first debate, when Trump threw a fit because they weren't going to invite him. And the Republicans made the Republican Party, again, it's all the parties. And while I was young, parties were great, they don't belong in government. The Republican Party told Donald Trump, we'll let you attend our debate if, under these conditions, you abide by the ruling of the primary and not run as a third. If you don't get nominated as a Republican guy, they made him promise that he wouldn't run a third party campaign. Now here's where I start to wonder. If Trump gets the nomination, that's going to chap the asses of every member of the Republican Party. And I don't think that they'll hold up their end of the deal and fully back him as a presidential candidate. I think they'll be all upset that he got in, and they won't put their full support behind him. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Anyway, let me. Remember at the end of the show last week, I did a story, and I can't even remember what the story was about now. I think it was the fact about the pineapple. It weighed so many kilograms. And Jeff on the Facebook page posted that a kilogram is 2.2 pounds. Well, I knew that. I just didn't want to do the math. So I was hoping that you would have gave me like the total figure of how much it weighed, Jeff. Just saying. And speaking of Facebook, I put a Facebook post out because I wanted to talk about this week about the power of music to affect social change. Good topic, right? I mean, it sounds so serious, doesn't it? It's not serious. It's music, for God's sakes. It's about feeling, and it's about emotion, and that's what affects social change the most. People's emotions. And I asked what song makes you feel good, or what song makes you feel bad. Either way. To give me the name of a song that elicited a response from you. Alan says the Eagles' Desperado. He didn't mention whether it was the happy song or the sad song. To me, Desperado's always been kind of a saddish song. Leslie says Garth Brooks' The Dance makes her kind of sad. And Billy Joel, She's Always a Woman to Me, makes her happy. Jeff says just about anything by Jimmy Buffett makes him happy. But Cheeseburger in Paradise can take him out of a bad mood and quick. So those were the replies. And hey, thanks to the three people that replied to that. Now, if you three people share the Facebook page and get other people involved, tell them to comment and join in the show. We'll have a great time here. But I thought that was cool. I grew up in the 70s. I was born in the early 60s, so my formidable years were in the late 60s, early 70s. And there was a song that I believe affected social change back then. It was called I'd Like to Teach the World to Sing in Perfect Harmony. Yeah, you got it. It was an advertisement for Coca-Cola. And it was one of those songs that you could listen to, and it kind of gave you hope. And I'm not going to say that's where, it all started with that song, because there were people like Woody Guthrie and Pete Seeger back in the old days who were writing songs about social injustice and about, the old protest songs. And music in this country, and the roots of country music, most of the original early country music didn't even have words. There was some guitar and maybe some humming, some maybe a little bit of yodeling, and the songs didn't need words because they were singing to cows. That's right, they were out on the range, they were passing time, they were singing. The only audience was the cows. They didn't care if you didn't have words or not. They just liked the music. Anyway, so it started way back then, and there's been so many. Folk songs were probably one of the biggest genres that dealt with that stuff. And there were songs, Jackson Browne did a lot of, actually one of his songs that he did, I don't know, 5 years ago, it all dealt with Cuba and the fact that we can't travel to Cuba because our government says Cuba is our enemy. But the fact that as a free people, we basically demand to be able to travel to really anywhere we want, and it was basically a narrative on, and Jackson Browne's done a lot of them. Jackson Browne did one called Blood on the Wire. And just a powerful song about the way things are. The fact that the government tells us who our enemies are. We don't choose who our enemies are, the government does. The people up there that I despise so much. And that's one of the reasons that I despise them. And the fact that those people up on Capitol Hill are all in bed with the corporations that make billions off of war and the profits from war. And it's all wrapped up, One of my favorite happy songs is that instantly, within the first 10 seconds of the song coming on, I feel better, is the song Keep Pushing On by REO Speedwagon. And another one is Roll With The Changes by REO Speedwagon. They're upbeat, they're fast, they're happy, they have a positive message. Roll with the changes. No matter what happens to you, roll with the changes. You'll get through it. Keep pushing on, same way. Keep pushing, keep pushing. That's right. Yeah. I don't know. Again, everything comes down, basically boils down again to the education system. And it's all money. Like I said, billions in profits, just, it's not helping anybody. I love it when the stock market, because it doesn't really affect me. I don't have any stocks. But those rich cats, they feel it when the stock market goes down. That's what I like. That's what needs to happen, as opposed to raising minimum wage. We need to start knocking some of these people down a few notches. And all of a sudden say, look, what you used to be able to buy for $100, you can now buy for $10. We just drop one decimal point, that's all. Or add one. Something. Anyway. So the rich will still be rich. It's just, instead of having $1 billion, they'll have $100 million. And at the same time, on the bottom, the guy that used to only have $10 now has $100. I'm just saying, it's it bugs me. Let's talk about something cool, because I found this, and I never realized it. Well, of course, I realized it, but I didn't realize just how long it lasted. For more than 300 years, booze was part of the daily rations for the British Royal Navy. That's right, it started with beer, which tended to spoil on long journeys. So in the 17th century, the beer rations were swapped out for rum rations. And it was spiked with lemon juice to prevent scurvy. And until 1740, the daily ration was a half a pint of rum. But in 1850, the amount was set at what they called a tot, which was 70 milliliters. It's about an eighth of a pint of rum. And it was distributed at midday. Junior sailors had their share watered down with water, while the officers and higher-ups got theirs straight up. A gentleman by the name of Commander David Alsop, who joined the British Navy in 1955, told the BBC, "You paid for favors quietly. You had friends come round to share the tot. It was just the same as going to the bar and having a pre-lunch drink. That's all it was. At the end of the day, a strong aperitif." So yeah, it was just because they were trapped on the boat didn't mean that they couldn't have a little nip, to take the edge off at the end of a hard day. Or, like it says, the pre-lunch drink thing. Here's the part that I didn't realize. The daily rum rations were phased out by the British Royal Navy in 1970. That's right. Until 1970, British sailors had a ration of an eighth of a pint of rum every day. The Navy cited concerns that sailors who took a swig at lunch would be less capable while operating ship's machinery. And apparently, this commander Alsop said it was badly received. There was a lot of muttering below decks. Sailors called it Black Tot Day, marking the occasion by wearing black armbands and burying their tots at sea. And at the Royal Naval Dockyard in Chatham, Kent, cook Thomas Mackenzie drank the last drop of rum on his ship directly from the barrel. So, that's kind of interesting. And here we are, these days, it's bad to drink anywhere. So I got a few more minutes. Let's get to some facts. Because, again, I started the show this afternoon when I sat down here in front of the camera, and I had no idea what I was going to talk about. And I said, well, maybe I'll just do an entire half hour of these stupid facts. Because people like them. That's not for me to say what you like and what you don't like. There we go. In 1914, Henry Ford doubled the daily wage for his factory workers from $2.40 an hour to $5 an hour. That's more than double. I'm smart. I caught that. While cutting their daily work hours from 9 hours to 8 hours a day. And that must have been for people over 18, because I'm pretty sure that they were still working kids 15, 16 hours a day. Human arms have 32 bones each, while human legs only have 30. So your arms have 2 more bones that your legs don't have. See that? You're learning stuff. Every minute here you're learning stuff. 3D printers aren't just for making toys. Doctors and engineers work together to print a dissolvable splint that was implanted into a child's trachea to allow him to breathe. When asked if Abe Lincoln had any hobbies, Mary Todd Lincoln said cats. Oh, I'm going to skip that one because it was long. Sometimes when I read, I get sleepy. And everybody knows that one. To save money, use paper instead of plastic. And to save the environment, for that matter. Studies show that people spend more money and make more impulse purchases when paying with a credit card rather than cash. Yeah. So buy with cash. Despite its name, Equatorial Guinea does not lie on the equator, but just north of it. Studies in space have shown that birds cannot survive in weightless environments, since they require gravity in order to swallow food. There you go. So if you could raise a species of bird that didn't have to eat, they would do fine in space. But when you first read that first thing, studies in space have shown that birds cannot survive in weightless environments, you think, well, that's stupid because they can fly, but they can't swallow their food. There you go. Feel free to use all these tomorrow morning at work, if you can remember them. I won't remember any of these tomorrow morning because, like after work ritual. To assemble the wizard's wardrobe for the Wizard of Oz. Here you go. MGM costumers shopped at thrift stores to find clothes that projected shabby gentility. In an incredible coincidence, the previous owner of the coat they purchased was Wizard of Oz writer L. Frank Baum. There you go. Oh, I went past it. The flashes of colored light you see when you rub your eyes are called phosphenes. So when you rub your eyes and you see all those little colored spots, they're called phosphenes. So, come on. Vanna White is listed. Here you go. Just show you how crazy life is. Vanna White is listed in the Guinness Book of World Records as television's most frequent clapper. And I would have thought it was the guy that does the clapper commercials. Apparently not. Vanna White's clapping more than him, apparently. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Probably something you didn't know. He created the literary character Sherlock Holmes. He helped popularize skiing in Switzerland. Here you go. From the Dictionary of American Slang in 1975, paper belly is a person unable to drink liquor straight or one who grimaces after drinking. That's a paper belly. Here you go. Here's a great presidential one. Andrew Jackson was the only U.S. president to have the national debt paid in full. And with that, my time's up. Till next week, peace.